Caddis Maximus here, this time with a review of the LuxPro LP1515 little mini camping lantern that runs, I believe, on 4 AAA batteries. Indeed, it does run on 4 AAA batteries, and even comes with their own branded LuxPro batteries. I guess it's getting pretty cheap now. Anyway, at least on this a little bit more expensive model, I believe it retails for $20 over the Labor Day weekend at a local kind of warehouse store. Had these for a whopping 35% off, so I picked one up, and I kind of liked it because we can see that they actually have gold-plated terminals in there, which is really pretty surprising. They advertise this as waterproof, but I would consider it more of being pretty water resistant is what I should say. It would certainly survive being out in the rain. You just couldn't go diving with it. You could probably go rafting with it, and if it fell in the water, it has enough air in it, so it should be buoyant, and they say it will float on the water. It does have a little lanyard ring here with a little eyelet, and it is indeed made out of aluminum, and we can see a little O-ring there. It has this kind of gooey, like silicone type overmolding, and it actually goes over the top of the battery cover, so when you put it in and tighten it down, not only does it seal against that O-ring, it kind of has an additional seal against the metal lanyard ring. So I thought it was a kind of interesting design. They do have a neodymium high-strength magnet, and then this kind of odd dual hook system, so you can actually hook it twice like this, and they actually go over each other, so it's really positively retained, very difficult for it to fall off, or you could just use one hook, and I kind of thought that was also an interesting idea. Of course, we have 3 modes, low, medium, and high. It's only rated for 350 lumens for less than 2 hours, and if you press and hold, it also will have this 150 lumen kind of cob style where there's 12 little LED elements in there as a flashlight. One thing, I got this as like a mini flood work light, and I guess the big criticism I have of this is the fact that you can't actually turn both lights on at the same time. It's not really a very big criticism considering it's a camping light, but when I'm using it as a kind of a work light, it'd be nice to have the ring light as well as the top light at the same time. That being said, even the reason I picked this up and I'm doing a review is I was looking at it, and you know it certainly is made in China, but I did notice that they really kind of advertise an American company and design in the US, so they're trying, at least they are employing some people rather than this just being some kind of purely Chinese source product. LuxPro is actually apparently designing and engineering these in the United States, and is outsourcing the manufacturing. Of course, I'd like it all to be here, but it's certainly much better than most flashlights, which are just entirely Chinese and are just imported to be sold. I do actually have the older model, the 150 lumen, and it's much more rudimentary, although it is still pretty durable. One thing I was going to mention on both of these lights, and that one's a little bit more funky, is they have this kind of interesting thing where they have this key so that when you screw in the bottom, the interior portion rotates like that, and I thought that was kind of a neat little option or deal there. Let's take a look at the brightness here, and then we'll go outside and do a little bit better of an evaluation. So we have the old 150 lumen here. It's not particularly great, but when we compare it to this one, as we can see, this one is quite a bit brighter, and it's kind of hard to tell if we turn this sideways. And that's the big deal, is this only puts light out the front and the back, where this one truly is 360 degrees. Also, interestingly, the operation works differently, where this one starts out at low brightness, where this one starts out at full brightness. And then, of course, this, if you press and hold, then it'll switch to the 2-mode front flashlight, which is more like a short distance floodlight. Sorry about the car noise. So here's the 150 lumen, and you can really see the dark patches where it's putting light out one side or the other. But I always kind of like these little lantern type of lights. Now if we just take the new unit, which is quite a bit brighter. Actually, I'd have to say that the concentration of light may be quite similar, except for this is indeed putting light out in all directions. And that's always the hard part about these types of lights, is because any specific area may not have a higher concentration of light, and you may say, well, it doesn't seem to be that much brighter. It is really doing it evenly all the way around. And if we step back, we can actually see how much more light that's actually putting out. And it is actually a decent little work light if you're working, say, under the sink or trying to, change a spare tire. And then we'll do the little front light here, if I can find the button. And the front light, as you can see, is really, really broad. I'm about 12 inches from the ground here, and it's still casting almost a 2-foot diameter circle. So it's more of just a kind of like a walking light. So anyway, that was my weird little review. I don't do a whole lot of flashlight reviews. They're always kind of a little bit awkward and difficult to kind of impress on how much light something really does have relative to another light. And I also wanted to mention that this LuxPro brand also includes a lifetime defect. So if like the switch fails or the electronics fail or the LEDs burn out, that you can get it replaced. And that's always a nice thing. They're actually at least attempting to stand by their products with a lifetime warranty. That's actually pretty rare among cheaper kind of warehouse store type. And I guess this would be sold at camping stores and those kind of places too. Anyway, these little LED lanterns are great. I remember a long time ago when you go camping, it'd be one of those Coleman lanterns that was just horrid, and nowadays you can just get some little thing and it floats and it's all rubberized and it can take, quite a bit of a beating and still puts out more light. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.